The shooting at Northern Illinois University is raising questions this morning. Should students be allowed to carry guns to protect themselves? Well, joining me now is W. Scott Lewis with Students for Concealed Carry on Campus, and Garrett Evans, a survivor of the Virginia Tech massacre. I want to thank you both for being with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let me start with you, Garrett, because you were shot in both legs during that massacre at Virginia Tech. In fact, I even think we have some video of you in the hospital. What do you think about students being able to carry guns on campus? Would that have prevented so many deaths?
Well, first of all, I think this is a little bit inappropriate for a victim who had survived something so horrific, in recent times. And
what do you mean inappropriate?
Because I had survived something very, very traumatic. But I will answer your question. What would have prevented that situation was having an emergency alert system. And 30 people died and 26 were wounded. And that's the reason I co-founded SchoolDispatch.com. Now, staying with the issue of the guns. First of all, John Lott has been discredited for this whole idea. Second of all, students are not old enough and mentally responsible enough to deal with having guns on campus or concealed weapons, because they act on impulses because of rage and hormones instead of the use of logic.
So you think as we see all of these shootings, the last one being at NIU, that if a student didn't have a handgun, that student wouldn't have been able to take out the shooter before he hurt so many people? Well,
that brings me to the third point. The third point is, it doesn't matter how trained you are. You look what happened to Jim Brady, President Reagan, and 2 Secret Service men. Brought a Saturday night special, shot them and got all 6 shots off before he was detained. And you look at the St. Louis, Missouri situation. That guy brought in his gun, shot the officer, grabbed his gun, killed five secret councilmen and city councilmen, and then shot the mayor. Okay? It doesn't matter how trained you are. You could still be gotten.
Well, that is a good point, and I want to bring you in, Scott, because he does make a very good point when it comes to people who are trained, police officers trained at shooting suspects out there. I want to bring in a statistic. In 2006, the New York police statistics show that officers, when they intentionally fired a gun at a person, the hit rate was only 28%. So what makes you think that students carrying guns on campus would make a difference?
Well, as to that accuracy rate of New York police officers, you have to understand that they're dealing with scenarios that a concealed handgun license holder is never going to encounter. They're firing at individuals barricaded inside of buildings. They're chasing people through dark alleys. Concealed handgun license holders are not amateur police officers. They don't go looking for a bad guy. Most of these self-defense shootings take place at point-blank range. You don't have to be you don't have to have dead-eye accuracy. You don't have to have lightning-fast reflexes to shoot somebody who's attacking you from only a few feet away.
But the shooter could be moving. I mean, it's not like they're going to be standing still all the time. And if you're under immense pressure in an emergency situation, you're panicking because someone is shooting in the classroom. Could a student be able to handle that situation and take a shooter down?
Well, absolutely. And as to Mr. Evans' argument that students are not mature enough, all we're talking about is allowing the same individuals who are trained and licensed, and we're talking about individuals age 21 and above in most states, to carry concealed handguns virtually everywhere else. These people are already carrying at movie theaters, office buildings, grocery stores, shopping malls, churches, banks, etc.
And in fact, you carry a gun. Are you carrying one today?
Well, that's the beauty of concealed carry. You'll never know. But the fact of the matter is, individuals have used concealed handguns under very intense circumstances, individuals with concealed handgun licenses, to stop crimes in progress, to mitigate shootings. And although we can't say that a concealed handgun could be used in any particular instance to stop a particular shooting, we can definitely say it would even the odds. And if I recall Mr. Evans' own account of the shooting, the shooter actually stopped in his classroom to reload. So there was ample time for someone with a concealed handgun to draw, take aim, and fire at this individual.
Well, let me bring Garrett in, because Garrett, in 12 states, they are already considering bills to allow concealed weapons on campus. And the point being, if a shooter is there in a classroom, don't you think the students would have a better chance if someone else in the classroom was armed?
First of all, thousands and thousands of schools do not have this, and they haven't had shootings either. Second of all, you don't know how that shooter is going to attack. You don't know which way he's coming. You don't know how fast and hard he's coming. You don't even know if he's going to come in with 2 guns. You cannot plan this. But also, if you bring the idea of concealed weapons, you know, it's going to promote vigilantism. But okay, let's say you do this. The criminal mind is far more advanced than the collegiate mind. The criminal mind is going to say, what reason do I have for coming in with a shotgun or a handgun or 2 handguns when I can come in with a Uzi or AK-47 to take everybody out?
Yeah, that's
then
a
what are you
good
gonna
point,
do? Then
Scott.
what can they do? They can't do a thing.
Let me ask you that, because if someone who is hell-bent on killing people on a school campus knows that other students have weapons, don't you think that's going to escalate the violence?
I have to disagree with you that that's a good point. I think that, in fact, a person with a concealed handgun license can take on someone with an AK-47 or an Uzi just as easily as if they had any other weapon, because what we're talking about are civilian firearms that are semi-automatic. They all fire one shot for one pull of the trigger. So this is kind of, I think, a nonsensical argument. What we're talking about is allowing licensed individuals to carry on college campuses like they do everywhere else. And if you look, there are already 11 U.S. campuses that have, for a combined total of 60 semesters, allowed concealed carry on campus without a single incident of gun violence, without a gun theft, without a gun accident. This is not causing problems in any of the colleges where it's allowed.
But you have thousands of colleges that don't have it and haven't had a problem either.
Well, let me see if I can
Virginia
get some
Tech
kind of...
and Northern Illinois University had not had a problem until they had a problem.
Well, let me see if I can get some kind of agreement out of you two. Maybe I can't here. If obviously you don't agree that students, at least Mr. Evans doesn't agree that students should carry. Obviously, Mr. Lewis, you do. What about professors? What about those teaching the class? If you don't think students should have it, what about those running the classroom? Should they at least have a handgun? Let me start with you, Garrett.
Well, believe it or not, with all the added responsibility in the rigors of daily life added because of technology, professors I found to be very, very high-strung as well. And I've seen them get angry and with students and things like that. So it doesn't matter how responsible you are, somebody could be so angry and just so disoriented from anger, they could just go ahead and just take the problems out on somebody.
Well, Scott, would you be satisfied if a professor is allowed to carry a handgun if students aren't?
Well, unlike Garrett, I do have some faith in our collegiate system here in America, and I think letting professors carry would be a good step in the right direction, but I think eventually we need to let everyone who is authorized by the state, who's gone through the training, who's gone through the testing, who's gone through the background checks to obtain a concealed handgun license, we need to let them carry on college campuses just like we do in most other unsecured locations. And by unsecured, I mean anywhere.
Nervous and uncomfortable. We do not need a nervous and uncomfortable situation. Students need to be in a situation where they're happy to be there, need to learn in a peaceful environment, okay? Also, we need to be helping people, talking to people, being there for people. And another thing, if you want to prevent all this, we need to put God in schools. We need peaceful situations. Because
so your focus, Garrett, is on prevention.
Right, prevention, because we need peaceful situations. We want these students to be comfortable, not be on edge and worried about somebody shooting it because they were called somebody a name.
All right, we're going to have to leave it there. We are simply out of time, but we do appreciate both of you coming on the show and talking about this issue that a lot of people are discussing right now, especially in light of the NIU massacre. Thank you both.
Thank you.
You're watching CNN Newsroom on CNN, the most trusted name in news.